Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and welcome to Thrive, Turning Uncertainty to Competitive Advantage, the show where we talk about the strategies, we discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to turn all of this uncertainty to your competitive advantage. And today we are going to talk to a guru, a true guru of what you need to do to build business, build referrals, and really remain relevant in today's marketplace. Bill Cates, welcome to today's show.
Thank you. A guru, huh? I don't know about that, but happy to be here with you. That's for sure.
Well, I've always really thought of you as basically the guru when it comes to referrals, but I've really been fascinated by your newest book, Relevancy. And I think that it was relevant before COVID happened, but it's even more relevant now. But before we dive into that, there may be a couple of people out there that maybe haven't heard of you. So give the listeners just a little bit of a background on you, who you are, what you do, and how you got where you are.
Oh my. Well, first I'd like to thank my mother. So, first of all, in case anybody felt deceived, that no, it's not Bill Gates, it's Bill Cates. I missed it by one letter. Real quick, I was in the book publishing business for a number of years. I started, owned, built, sold a couple of book publishing companies. A friend of mine said, you should be a professional speaker. You'd be good at it. And I go, well, what's that? And so I just started looking at the world of consulting and speaking and writing and that whole thing. And yeah, I liked it. It kind of put everything together for me. And so I started talking about sales and mostly prospecting, finding new people to talk to. That's kind of what I really like, is the thrill of the hunt, maybe. And so then somewhere along the line, I was reading and listening to a few things around referrals, and I was looking for a topic to write a book on. And I thought, I think that's what I'm going to write my book on. So it took me about a year to teach and write. And the first book, Unlimited Referrals, came out in 1996. So that shows you I've been at this a long time. I think you can get the book on eBay for $350 or something. And then since then, I focused on referrals and, becoming more referable and asking and getting introduced and all that. But my latest book, Radical Relevance, kind of is a departure from that, in that the referral works because you get borrowed trust. And that borrowed trust will take you so long in a new relationship. But then you got to talk about your value in a way that's going to continue to earn that trust and keep moving forward. So that's the journey to my new book. That's where I am now.
And the new book is Radical Relevance. You can see it sitting there behind Bill. I really highly recommended it. I've recommended it quite a few places. But I want to dive in today and really talk about some of the biggest challenges you are seeing people facing today as it relates to growing business, because certainly COVID has shifted the world as it comes to sales and it comes to referrals. So what are the biggest challenges you're seeing people face?
Well, the biggest challenge that was there even before COVID, and it's kind of why I wrote the book, is just getting through to people, right? It's just hard to reach folks. I don't care if it's B2B, B2C, it's just hard to reach folks. Now, on the B2C world, some folks have found it actually a little easier during COVID because so many people were home. Even B2B a little bit, they found that some people were a little more willing to be interrupted because they were working from home. It was a little more casual way of thinking. But still, the bottom line is it's hard to reach people. So that's the biggest one. I'd say a secondary challenge within that is what's often known as inertia, meaning that's the biggest objection that we as salespeople, business development people encounter, is inertia, meaning they're either stuck doing something a certain way, and it could even be painful, but they're devil they know is a devil, better than devil they don't know.
Yeah.
Or they're just moving so fast in a different direction that it's just hard to get them to stop and say, look, there may be a better way to think about this and do that. So that inertia is tough. And, in the book, I talk about the straightest line to relevance with someone who doesn't know us is an introduction from someone they do know, right? That borrowed trust. There's more to it than that, but that's the starting point. If we get introduced, we're automatically going to be more relevant to most people.
So if I'm sitting here in January of 2021 and I have a dry pipeline, I'm in pain. There's not enough business, coming through the doors.
Sorry.
And I probably didn't do the sales behaviors I probably should have done in November and December. And I've got to, I need to build referrals. I need to make myself relevant. Where do we start? What are the things that we can do to put into place to make second quarter better than where my first quarter's headed?
Yeah, sure. I'd say just go play more golf and not worry about it.
Problem is I can't pay for it.
What the heck? Oh, that's true. Okay. So, here's what we can control, right? We can't control the pandemic, the vaccine, any of that stuff. What we can control is nurturing, enhancing our current relationships, whomever, whatever they are, and then leveraging those relationships. And so what I mean by that is, first of all, taking great care of your clients, customers, people in your network, and reaching out and trying to provide value and all of that. And that's what we call becoming more referable. So we know we can control that to a certain degree. And then the leverage is really the asking for introductions. We have a whole science behind it, but it's really not rocket science. And what I mean by that is it's just try to identify a few folks that they know that you would like to meet and ask for an introduction. I mean, it's really as simple as that. And so asking for introductions, getting connected. Now, another thing we can do, which is covered in my newest book, is the targeting a niche market, a vertical market, target market, a lot of words for the same thing. So depending on your business, if it's too broad, if you kind of view anybody as a prospect, or you keep trying to, the biggest mistake that people make, and sometimes when they're hurting, is they try to expand the net, right? And try to catch more other people. The problem with that is the messaging that you're using is actually going to become less effective because you're trying to appeal to a wider range of people. The wider range of people you're trying to appeal to, the less likely you'll appeal to any of them. So getting narrow, targeting, working on building a reputation within a specific target market. I call it reputation marketing. Now, you can have more than one, and if you already have that established, I don't recommend trying to build more than one at a time. And when those target markets are related to each other in some way, there's kind of crossover and synergy, that's even better. But, look at where you think you can get the biggest bang for your activity in terms of meeting new people. Where do these people congregate? Online, virtually right now, how do we reach out to those people in a way that's relevant to them? In fact, I just had a coaching call this morning with a gentleman in Germany who says, Bill, I'm doing the referral thing I could teach and all that, and I just need to meet more people, right? I don't have enough people to ask for referrals. So what do I do given I can't go to these events? And one of the things I suggested is, all right, what are the events you would go to? Or what are the events where other people that you want to meet would hang out? Are they now doing virtual? Yeah, and they probably are. And then look, who's presenting? Who are the speakers? Who are the presenters? Maybe the vendors, but especially the speakers. Reach out to them, flatter them a little bit about the topic they'll be covering. Ask a question beforehand. Ask a question afterwards. Get to know them a little bit. And then you can start to develop a relationship with those people. So yeah, you can still network virtually. It just takes a little bit more creativity, a little bit more work. And you can't come on too strong because you don't have an in-person feel of energy that you do when you're in person, but you can definitely do it.
So that's what I was going to ask. What is the balance? So, how much do I need to have invested before I can turn around and I can ask for a referral?
Yeah. So my simple formula, and we'll explain it a little bit more, but is you're becoming referable when value's been delivered and value's been recognized, right? So we've taught them something, we've made a connection for them, we've solved a problem, something where value has been recognized or delivered, and then of course they recognize that. So you got to pay attention to value recognizing statements. These are things that people will say to you, right? Wow, this is so great. You've got my head clear on where we're headed now, or blah blah blah. Always feel better after I talk to you, or this, you solve the problem. Thank you. Right. And any of that stuff. You get a hug from a client, not right now, but
a virtual hug.
Right. And these are value recognizing statements. And so we can't always ask, right away in a new relationship, but if someone's really seeing the value and they're kind of an open personality and they were easy to get to know, they're probably going to let you into the world of other people pretty quickly. So sometimes you can even ask prospects if the value's been delivered and recognized. So I work with a lot of financial professionals, and they'll tell me that sometimes their prospects will say, thank you for setting this meeting. Thank you for persisting, because we've been meaning to talk to somebody about this for a long time. Well, guess what? Yeah, you've barely started the conversation. They're already recognizing the value because they appreciate the chance to talk to someone about this. So, my rule of thumb, if you had to have a formula, would be first time you get together with someone, you provide value, you check in and say, tell me the value you feel you're getting. Are we meeting your expectations? Second time, same thing. Maybe plant the seed. Maybe say, hey, great. Please don't keep me a secret out there. And then the third time, right? You've been through enough. There's some value provided in some form. And then you could say, hey, let's brainstorm a little bit, if you don't mind. See if we can identify a few folks that you think should at least be aware of the work I do. And then you come prepared for that. So that's kind of a formula if you need one.
I don't want any of the listeners to miss what you just said, because I think it's really powerful. It's that you ask for a referral once value has been delivered and once it's been recognized. I was really trying to put my finger on where people blow it. And a couple of days ago, I had a gentleman reach out to me and ask me for some introductions for some speaking opportunities.
I've had the same thing. Yep.
He shows up, I don't know, maybe twice a year. I don't hear from him at all, but he shows up twice a year and he flatters me a little bit. And then he asks for this piece. And I just keep thinking that it is, now I deliver, but I don't deliver at the level I could deliver. And I was really starting to think about that, but you really nailed it when you said, in the sense that I feel like it is such a one-way relationship. Even in the sense that it's not even just that he's asking of me, but it's just that there's no fill-in in between, other than the fact that he reaches out when he needs something.
Yeah. So we did a study in the financial services industry, and I think the results that we found are pretty much universal. And so we found that satisfied clients are loyal. This is in financial services, but only 20% of satisfied clients gave referrals or, participated in the process over the preceding 12 months. So there's actually a low correlation between client satisfaction and the giving of referrals. Who gave referrals was engaged clients. 98% of engaged clients or customers participated in the process. All right, so what's an engaged client?
Yeah.
Well, it's someone with whom you've made a value connection and with someone with whom you've made a personal connection. They're seeing your value. They like the questions you ask. They like the things you teach. They like the solutions to problems. They like responsive service, all that value side of the equation. And, you're kind of hitting off a little bit. They like you. They trust you, right? You're not best bosom buddy friends, but you're doing, it's growing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why those people with open personalities are a little easier to ask sooner, because it's just easier to make that connection. So this guy, first of all, he probably wasn't referable in your eyes because you probably didn't really know how good he was or what he did.
That's right.
Right. I've gotten a lot of that. Actually, when I was brand new in this business, I did what he did. I wasn't referable. They didn't know who it was. I didn't have a demo video to show. There's no referability there. I did have a situation where I actually called a colleague, someone I've known for a long time, someone and I said to him, we'll call him Walter. So I said, Walter, I was hoping we could brainstorm a little bit. See, I'm trying to do more keynotes on, you do a lot of those. Can we talk about that? And he said to me, well, Bill, you're asking me for referrals, but you haven't given me any referrals yet. I said, wow. No, you're right. I haven't. And I don't play on the stages that you do. And I'm trying to. That's why I'm asking you. But you may recall last month, I spent 2 hours with your sales team trying to help you sell more online courses. Oh, yeah, that's true. Right. So, right. Now people say you have to give to get. Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to give referrals to get referrals. You just have to give value. It doesn't hurt to give referrals to get them, but that doesn't automatically make you referable either, right? If this guy that calls you twice a year sent a referral your way, well, you'd appreciate it. You'd take notice of it. You might be a little more open, But if you still don't know what he does and the value he brings and how good or bad he is, that still won't open the floodgates, right?
Yeah. And I just, my thing is that it isn't even so much that people need to refer me back, because I feel like that gets to a confusing game. I agree with you. I mean, there are just some people that, well, it's also, I agree, like often you're looking for something and you can't reciprocate. Like if my client refers me for an opportunity, I'm not going to refer them for a speaking opportunity. They wouldn't want that, but you find a way to reciprocate. But exactly. I even think it's a matter of, it's just, if you're going to ask people for things, to invest in the relationship outside of asking for things. It reminds me back when I used to do a lot of fundraising, and the worst thing you could do in fundraising is only reach out when you're asking for money. The way to raise money is to add value all year long, and then to ask for the pitch at the end of the year, so that somebody is comfortable with you, knows about you, understands the value you're bringing to the table. But let me ask you this: what
can you makes tell my daughter about that though? The part about only connecting when they're looking for money.
Yeah, I can't do anything about children.
Right,
sorry. What makes you referable, or what should we be doing to make ourselves more referable?
Well, I mean, ultimately, value is in the eyes of the holder, right? So the value is in the eye of the receiver of the value. So that's why I say value delivered and value recognized.
Yeah.
We may not even realize we provided value, and we have, or we may think we're providing great value and they're not so thrilled yet, right? So that's why we got to check in, and we got to ask, and we got to talk about meeting expectations. Well, what makes you I kind of alluded to it earlier, but just a little more meat on the bone is you bring value when you ask questions, and you get people thinking in ways maybe they haven't thought before, right? You bring value when you teach, obviously, and sometimes questions can teach. You bring value by just doing the good work that you do, whatever that may be. Usually it's solving a problem of some sort.
Yeah.
Or perhaps helping them take advantage of an opportunity, responsive service. And then there's the personal connection, which isn't as much value in terms of that kind of tangible value, but it's still value in the sense that they just appreciate the relationship and they feel comfortable in the relationship. And I would say that's a place of value too, right? It's about building the trust. And people often ask me, Bill, how do you go from a loyal client, a satisfied client, to an advocate? Well, the secret sauce, if you're ready for that, is the business friendship, where you develop that personal side of the business. And I call it business friends, right? Because it doesn't mean you're going out drinking and telling each other deep secrets, right? Although you could. I've made some pretty good friends with my clients. But, it's just where the conversation starts to take on more than the core work that you do. And there's a genuine interest in family or hobby or whatever. And you just feel that, right? And it's that business friendship. And gosh, if a client invites you to something personal on their side, a wedding, a confirmation, a bar mitzvah, whatever, now that's a barometer of a good personal friendship or business friendship being developed. So that's a big part of it too. And that's when you see the referral thing. We want to make it mostly about bringing value to other people, where your clients and influencers want to pay it forward. They want to pay you forward, so you bring value to other people. But that doesn't mean they also don't want to help you a little bit too. Mm-hmm. We don't make it mostly about helping us. We make it mostly about bringing our value to others. But when you develop that business friendship, they want to help you too. And they love helping you. And you don't have to necessarily reciprocate. They just want to see you be successful. So we don't want to discount that possibility as well. Some people think, well, what's in it for them to give me a referral to someone else? Well, to help someone else. And they might like you and they might actually want to help you. Yeah. So why deny them that feeling of giving to you?
Well, I think that, the thing that you're making me think about, and I was just making a couple of notes for myself, is I need to go back through my customers over the last year or two and really pluck out those ones that I just connected with. I mean, I certainly delivered in what they needed me to deliver, but working with them was just easy. I mean, we just had fun, and we would always talk a little bit personal before I had a call right before this, and I was on with a brand new client, and we burned 20 minutes of the hour just talking about everything under the sun. It was just that instant connection, and to go back through there and maybe nurture those relationships more, because if what I'm learning from you is those people are basically already in my corner.
Yeah, I have about 150 of those people on my VIP list, and maybe not every month, but I try. If not every month, every other month or so. It just depends a little bit, but certainly 7-8 times a year, I reach out to those people, and I usually try to bring something of value. It's a guide I wrote, an article I found, anything, just something, a video. I mean, I might take this interview and send it to a lot of those folks and say, hey, share it with your people, right? Maybe they'll find it helpful. And if you are now one of those people, then you see, I practice that's getting confusing. That's right. So
no, I'm with you on that.
I'm just having fun. So, and I reach out to those folks, and I do it one-to-one. I mean, this is a one-to-one thing. So I'm watching a ball game, a movie, and I'm going, all right, Meridith, Elliott, Powell. Hey, Meridith, how's the golf game going? Copy paste, right? So I have a nice personal statement, and then kind of the meat of the value is something I'm sending to everybody, but I just make sure it's massaged enough that even if you can tell, I took the time to do it especially for you.
Right.
Sometimes you want to create some efficiencies, and sometimes these folks, I'll just think about them. I've got a habit I've gotten into, and I just did it yesterday with one guy. If I think of a client, I send him a note. Just an email. I just, a guy named Charlie yesterday. Hadn't talked to him in a while. We did some business together. I said, Charlie, for whatever reason, I thought of you this morning, and I just want to let you know. I hope you're doing well. Hope the firm's doing well. I sent it on a. I couldn't readily find his email, so I just went to his LinkedIn profile because I know he's active on LinkedIn, and just did it there. And so, my philosophy in life is see the job, do the job. Now, easier said than done, but when you see that this box needs to be carried into this room, you just don't keep waiting. Just do it. See the job, do the job. My wife has trained me well in that area, but it's the same thing with when we think of somebody, right? Don't think of somebody and say, "Oh yeah, I should do that." Just do it.
Yeah.
Right? Just do it, or make a note and do it at lunch. But anyway,
pull the trigger and do it.
How
much of business development should be in your thought should be working referrals versus calling and actively trying to get business from somebody maybe I have a mild relationship with, or strictly a cold call?
Well, I would say that 100% referrals, if you can make it happen. And the truth is there are a lot of people that do make it happen. I meet them. I teach them to get that way. I mean, it's everybody, a lot of people. Now, there's some businesses it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's some businesses when you're first getting started, it's hard to be 100% referrals. But you're always looking for the warmest relationship. So when I'm coaching with someone and they need to, get a kick in the pants in business, I'm always going to look for who are the warmest relationships.
Right.
Let's start at the path of least resistance for you and for them. And let's work on the warmest ones, and then we can go a little cooler, a little cooler, a little cooler, right? So I just wrote a guide about this. So a lot of folks were complaining that during the pandemic, their sales cycle has taken longer because all the meetings are over Zoom and yada, 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 right? So, well, I interviewed about 37, 38 folks of all levels of tenure and success. And the ones who were working referrals and getting good introductions, not just word of mouth, but good introductions, they weren't affected at all, right? They weren't affected at all by their sales cycle is not lengthened at all. The colder the source, the longer the sales cycle takes usually, and it's lengthened during the pandemic because when you're getting people, maybe you're using a service to book seats in a webinar that you're doing. Well, those are pretty cold folks, right? And so it is going to take longer, especially because you can't meet in person. So that's one of the factors that will do that. So, I mean, I think leads in most business, leads are a recipe for mediocrity in the business. And there are, some people that have to start getting leads. They start their business with leads, and that's fine. Yeah. You got to create activity and all, but you got to wean yourself away from that. Within the third year or so of your business, you got to get into referrals and warmer ways of meeting people. And finally, with all of that said, if you identify someone who could be a great prospect, just reach out to them.
Yeah.
And find a way. Don't ever be afraid to do that. And I've seen some people do hit lists. They come up with lists of people they're trying to reach, and they just share it with folks. Hey, I'm trying to reach this person.
Yes.
You know Elon Musk. Do you know Sir Richard Branson? And eventually they find somebody who knows that person, then they get the introduction.
That's right. Well, it is hard to believe, but we are at the end of this show. So, Bill, I've got two more questions for you.
Okay.
One is you have got to tell people how to get a hold of you, how to get your books, how to learn more about how to build referrals and how to be relevant. And then I want your best piece of advice for if you are sitting here in 2021 still struggling with uncertainty. What do you need to do to turn uncertainty to competitive advantage?
All right. So, my book, Radical Relevance, radicalrelevancebook.com, radicalrelevancebook.com. My website, referralcoach.com. So there's a couple places to go. Reach out to me, shoot me a message. Happy to chat with you. Love to do it. Well, one thing I did mention already, which is control what you know you can control, which is, nurturing and expanding, enhancing those relationships and making them more engaged. And then being proactive and trying to get introduced. So that would be a big one. Obviously, I have a little saying I like to say is be relevant or be ignored. And nobody likes to be ignored, right? So what I found, most salespeople, most marketers, most business development people, most professionals do not take the time to do the little front end, a little bit of research of looking at a website and a LinkedIn profile and maybe a Facebook page and whatever it is, to just come with a more relevant message and a more compelling reason why that person should listen to you. People either try to do too many, it's not about the quantity, it's the quality of how you reach out to people.
I agree. I think that the most important thing that you can be in today's marketplace is relevant. It's a myth that people are not spending money, that they're not buying products and services, but they're buying products and services from the people who understand them and who are able to solve their current challenges. So I really want to thank you for being on the show today. I really encourage my listeners to go find out more about Bill Cates. You really need to read Radical Relevance. I've read it twice and I recommend it quite a bit. And don't forget to join us actually for another episode of Thriving in Uncertainty, where we're going to talk to Nate Woodbury about what you need to be doing with your YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to my website, valuespeaker.com, and click the purple bar at the top. You'll find a lot of free tools and resources where you can turn all of this uncertainty to your competitive advantage. We'll see you next time.
Who's doing the dishes?